Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty interesting. Training AI with, well, almost no data, just 200 examples.
Yeah, it sounds kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you think about deep learning, usually needing hundreds of thousands of data points.
Exactly. It's a tiny amount. So the big question is, how on earth do you build a useful AI model with that little?
Well, the sources we looked at point to a really a clever shift in thinking. Instead of forcing the AI to guess about things it hasn't seen, you basically teach it its own limits.
Limits, like drawing a line.
Pretty much. Imagine telling a kid, okay, you can only play with these specific toys.
Yeah.
You define their world right. It's about making the AI understand the boundaries of those 200 examples.
Got it. So within that very small sandbox, the goal isn't broad knowledge, but super focused prediction within the known stuff. And that's our mission today, to really unpack how this boundary setting works when data is scarce.
And a key part of this, maybe the core, is designing the AI so it can actually say, I don't know, or, well, output undefined, when it sees something totally outside its training.
Okay, hang on. Saying I don't know, that sounds simple, but how does an AI do that?
So the mechanism described is quite neat. Picture this. You train it on, say, 200 photos of only whole bananas, nothing else.
Okay, just whole bananas.
Right. Then you show it a peeled banana. Instead of guessing apple or stick or something weird, it actually outputs undefined. It recognizes, hey, this isn't what I learned.
Ah, okay, so it flags novelty. How's it making that decision?
It uses a sort of committee, a consensus system. There are 9 separate expert models running in parallel.
9, okay.
And a result, like banana, is only accepted if at least 6 of those 9 models agree, and they have to agree with really high confidence, like 90% or more.
6 out of 9. With 90% confidence, why 9 models specifically? Is there a magic number?
It's about robustness, mostly. Think of it like this. You go to a doctor, maybe you get a second opinion, right? Imagine getting 9 opinions.
Okay, yeah.
If 6 of them strongly agree with high certainty, you feel pretty good about that diagnosis, even if 1 or 2 are maybe a bit off or unsure. It stops one bad opinion from ruining the result.
That makes a lot of sense. Great analogy. So how does this play out in the examples from the sources? You mentioned the bananas.
Yeah, exactly. So case 1, you train it on those 200 whole bananas, you show it another whole banana. Because it perfectly fits the pattern, the system says banana with like 100% confidence. Easy.
Right, that's the happy path.
Then case 2,
Mm-hmm.
the peeled banana we talked about. It's new. It doesn't fit the whole banana pattern. Most models likely won't agree with high confidence. So, boom, undefined.
Okay, so that's the system working correctly, recognizing the unknown. What about failures or limitations?
Well, case 3 highlights a big one. Data quality is still critical. Imagine if, somehow, your 200 training examples were a messy mix of apples and, say, iPhones. But maybe they were all just labeled Apple.
Oh, okay. Bad labels.
Exactly. Label contamination. If you then show the system an iPhone, because iPhones were in the training data, even mislabeled, it might confidently but wrongly classify it as an Apple.
Right. So this boundary setting doesn't fix problems inside the training data itself. If the initial examples are flawed, the AI learns those flaws.
Spot on. It underlines that you still need clean, well-defined data, even if it's just a small amount.
And I suppose we should also mention, like the sources do, that even this system isn't, absolutely perfect 100% of the time.
Oh, definitely not. Perfection's impossible in AI.
Hmm.
They even gave a stat something like, even if a system is 99.9% accurate over, say, 100,000 tests, you're still going to have some errors pop up. It's just statistics. You have to manage expectations.
So wrapping this up a bit, what's the real takeaway here about training AI when you're starved for data?
I think the core insight, the cleverness, is about embracing the limits. Instead of trying to make the AI stretch thin knowledge too far, you focus it. You define its world very clearly, and crucially, you give it that ability to say, hold on, this is outside my expertise.
That really feels like the aha moment. It's not about smarter guessing with less info. It's about building in self-awareness of its own knowledge gaps.
Exactly. It avoids those situations where an AI gives you a completely wrong answer but sounds incredibly confident about it.
Yeah.
And it leads to a final thought for you listening. Where else could this be useful? Think about real-world systems. Where would having an AI that reliably says, I don't know, actually be more valuable, maybe even safer, than one that always forces a prediction, even if that prediction might be wrong? Kind of flips the usual goal of AI, doesn't it?